Hey, how's it going, everybody? My name is Jason. This is Art of Creation Homestead, and I've got our devotional this week for us. When I was talking to God, and then I asked, say, "Hey, Lord, what should I say this week? What should I talk about?" I was a little insulted. But God said, "Hey, let's just go back to the basics. Let's talk about love." So, come on, Lord, love, really? Such a basic topic. Love is what? And sometimes I think we all need to go back to the basics. The basics of our faith is love. Correct. I mean, there's no other way around it. And if you found yourself being a little insulted, God wants you to hear about love and the basics of love. If you believe that's beneath you, like any of us can tend to do, then maybe you need to reverse what you're thinking. Maybe you need to look back and say, okay, you know what? Maybe I do need to hear about love, because we should never tire of hearing about love if we are truly holding love in our hearts. Think about that. I'm not saying that you're lacking in that department, but I am saying that, maybe there's something about this love idea that you got to work on. Doesn't mean you don't have love in your heart, but means, as lined up in 1 Corinthians chapter 13, there's a few things about love that shouldn't have any place with love. So we'll just go to 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 4. It says, "Love is patient, love is kind, it does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud." So the first verse there that we're reading has patience, kindness, envy, proud, and boastful. There's 5 things there that we can struggle with. I don't always show patience. I'm not always kind. I'm not, envy, boastful, and proud, I'm not really any of that kind of stuff, but I'm not always patient and kind. Maybe you're patient and kind, but you can toot your own horn a little bit and be proud. Either way, there's things there automatically that tend to go against our flesh and tend to go against what we can do daily. Daily we can be these ways. And that's just a few things. I think when I read this, I'm obviously going to think about my marriage, how I treat Angela, and also, that's number one. But then also, how do I treat people outside the faith? Am I always patient and kind with people that do not believe the same thing that I believe? And I wouldn't say yes or no on any of that or whatever, but at the same time, you got to think about those things. You have to look at yourself in the mirror every day and analyze yourself and say, hey, am I acting in a way that would portray my faith as something that is real, as something that I truly believe, as something that I will truly live, that has changed my life, and patience and kindness are 2 of the fruits of the Spirit. And how are you acting? How are you acting with that? But then it goes on, so love is patient, love is kind, it does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud. Okay, we got that. Verse 5, it is not rude, it is not self-seeking, it is not easily angered, it keeps no record of wrongs. Okay, and I'm gonna, so rude, self-seeking, easily angered, no record of wrongs. That one right there, rude and self-seeking. How often are you rude? That's just plain out rudeness, Sometimes we can mistake, well, I'm just gonna be honest and tell it like it is, for rude, and we can think it's that, and it's actually rudeness. You're actually just being rude sometimes. There's a place for the truth, okay? There's an absolute place for the truth, no matter if it's a heavy shot or not. There's also a place that is called rudeness, and you have to be able to figure that out. that if you're not acting in love, then you're being rude, just plain out rude, you know. And there's a balance in that, because I'm somebody that I'm always going to be honest with you, but there's also times that the honesty might just be rudeness. And I don't like saying that, because I don't feel like I'm rude, but at the same time, I might be rude to somebody else. But you know, but then it's not easily angered. It's not self-seeking. Are we self-seeking people? I would say yes, we are. So if we're self-seeking people, then we're not loving people, correct? I mean, we're not loving people if we're looking out for ourselves only. It's not easily angered. How fast are we triggered on things? You know, whether it be politics, or whether it be our religious beliefs, or you know, things that can kind of blur the line between the two. And it's really difficult when you're passionate about something, and you're passionate about your beliefs, and you feel it in your heart that you're 100% right, and that that is the truth, the absolute truth. It's really hard to not get easily frustrated with somebody who just believes something so insanely opposite. You believe so heavily that you're in the absolute right, and maybe you are, but being angered with somebody, getting angry with them, and frustrated with them, isn't going to change their life. Love will. And you know, somehow or another, getting your point across that you disagree with them without being a harmful with your words and actions and facial expressions, because my facial expressions are worse than my actions and my words sometimes. But not being easily angered in that idea, and that's a hard one. But then you can sit there and says it keeps no record of wrongs. And I'm gonna be honest with you about something. That's a huge one for me. Not that I'm holding things against somebody, but what I'm saying is it's huge. In other words, I'm saying if you're keeping a record of wrongs, if you're harboring bitterness and unforgiveness in your heart, and you're not letting things go, then how can you say that you've experienced God's love when you can't show God's love? You know, because that is the basis of God's love, is that He has kept no record of your wrongs, right? There is nothing that He's holding against you. You're not going to die, get to heaven, He's going to look at you and hold something against you that you did years ago, because He's forgiven you of that. So if God has forgiven you of so much, why are you holding a record of wrongs against anybody? I'll tell you something right now. That is one of the biggest things that harms marriages in America, is holding on to something that your spouse did even yesterday. Cut it out. You know, I mean, there's some amazing stories of forgiveness in marriages that blows my mind. There's some amazing stories of redemption in marriages that will blow my mind. I've heard them. I've heard the testimonies. I've read about them, and those types of forgiveness, I don't even know if I can have that. I don't even know if I had that level, because it's an amazing amount of forgiveness, and I know I'll never have to deal with that. Okay, but that amount of forgiveness has been so powerful in these people's lives that it has changed the course of their life for the better, because they held on to what they believed was right, showed forgiveness, showed grace and mercy, which is an unfathomable amount of grace and mercy and forgiveness, and their lives have been absolutely better because of it. And that's on major things. We have trouble letting go of little things. We have trouble letting go of little pet peeves about stuff in our marriages. And I gotta be honest with you, if we're holding on to those things, we've got larger issues, you know, in our lives. That's a microcosm of what's actually going on inside of your heart. If you're holding on to little things, if you can't let them go, then there's something much worse going on inside of your heart. So if that's going on, hey, do some real self-analyzation. Look at yourself in the mirror and try to figure that mess out, okay? Now, I'm gonna stop preaching at you for a second, maybe. But in verse 6, it says, love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. So that's very basic, right? does not delight in evil. I mean, if you're delighting in evil, then you're gonna have larger issues. And then rejoices with the truth, and that's the honest truth. That is the honest truth. I mean, anytime that there's been something going on that there's a he said she said type thing, I always want to hear the honest truth. I don't want the truth to be told. I want the person who was telling the truth to win. You know, any kind of misunderstanding or case or trial, whatever. I always want the truth to prevail. And we should. So I rejoice with the truth, always. You know, in verse 7, it always. So then the things it does not do, let's go to what it does do. It always protects. It always trusts. Always hopes. Always perseveres. And in verse 8, it starts off saying love never fails. So verse 7 there, and then the start of verse 8, it says, always protects. Man, that's a big one. Protect your loved ones, you know. Protect those people, you know. Always trust. Man, that's big. How often do you mistrust somebody, anybody in your life? How often do you just say, I don't know if I can trust that. I don't know if I can trust that person. I don't know if I can trust this person. Whether it be a relative or a spouse or whoever, or just a friend, a coworker. How often does that happen? Always hopes. Hey man, there's always hope. And it always perseveres. Man, God's love has persevered in my life so majorly, because he should have let me go. A perfect God has no business still loving me. Okay, because I haven't proven myself worthy of it in every aspect as well as I should. I think we should, if we'd all be honest with ourselves, we could all say that. But it always perseveres. So it means it always gets through the hard times. Always gets through those hard times. And then it never fails. Love never fails. God's never going to fail you. We're human. We're going to mess up and fail. But let's look at these things every day. Let's look at them and try to see the areas that we can get better in. Because we can always get better in love. There's always something we can do better with love. So let's really work on that, okay? What aspects of love, right through there, that's 1 Corinthians 13, 4 through 8. What aspects of love can we do better at? Let's find those, because there's aspects there that we can all do better in. So let's find those, let's get it right, and let's go out and truly show God's love in every relationship that we deal with each day, okay? I love you guys so much. Again, my name is Jason. This is Art of Creation Homestead. God bless you, and goodbye.